name is Amy Novak. I'm from Glen Burnie, Maryland. I actually started dancing because my mother was taking adult tap classes at our local studio, and there was an intro to dance class that was happening at the same time as hers, and she figured if I had to be at the studio, I might as well be doing something. And then I think I just really fell in love with the movement and the classes. Now I've danced from the age of 3 to now, and I'm 25, so 22 years, I think.
My name is Carrie Pruce. I'm originally from Augusta, Georgia. It wasn't until I was 15 that I left home to attend the University of North Carolina School of the Arts. So when I was 3, the neighborhood that my family lived in, the next door neighbor, their daughter danced. Our moms were friends, and so her mom asked my mom if I wanted to go see a performance that her daughter was in. My mom's like, I don't think she's gonna sit through it. She's 3 years old. And so she's like, well, try. Apparently I sat mesmerized. At the end of the performance, I turned to my mom and I said, I want to do that. So she enrolled me in the same ballet school that this neighborhood girl attended, and then I have been dancing ever since then.
My name is Lydia Sanders. I'm from Chapin, South Carolina. My mom says that I just kind of came out dancing. Before I'd seen any ballet, I was doing very ballet-specific moves, which she was confused about, and she said I was just begging her for dance lessons right away. And then my older cousin was doing ballet at the time, and we went to see her in the Nutcracker. And from that point, I just became insufferable with begging to take dance lessons. And she took me when I was 3, and I just never stopped after that.
My name is Sophia Magliocco, and I grew up in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. This will be my first season coming up as a professional dancer.
When I was younger, I was just dancing a lot around the house, so my mom put me into ballet classes when I was 3 at our local dance studio.
I've just always danced.
So I had trained in classical ballet from an early age, but I don't really think I took it seriously until I was 12. I was doing my studio's Nutcracker. I remember being backstage that year and just crying as the grandpa music was going, watching her do that and realizing that's what I need to do and that's what I want to do. Hearing that music, if you've ever heard the grandpa music from Nutcracker, it's the most devastatingly beautiful thing you'll ever hear, in my opinion. And then just seeing my teacher just shining and sparkling to that, and knowing that was the reaction that I was having, that there had to be other people having that reaction as well, and knowing that I wanted to be part of something bigger in the way that she was, and part of being able to bring people to that kind of emotional state.
From day one, I knew I wanted to be a performer. I would drive my parents crazy. My friends and I would make our parents sit and watch these different ballets that we would put on, that we worked on, and I would perform in the living room for my parents, and they would do the good parent job of sitting there and watching the 100th ballet that they'd seen that week and being supportive and encouraging me. But I always felt alive and most like myself when I was in the studio and on stage. And it really wasn't though until I was about the age of 13 that I had an inkling that I wanted to make this my career.
Yeah, my first Nutcracker that I went to see, I was around 3 years old, and I went to see my cousin perform, and it just started something in me. I saw the magic on stage and I wanted it for myself.
The studio that I grew up in was a very supportive, positive, and very strict studio in the sense that they were very serious about our technique and about how we approached our dancing, but also gave us space to become artists and to learn how to become a character, and how what we learned in the studio, what the discoveries that we made was amplified on stage. And that's something that I really, really value.
My support system has been really good, and that is not something that all dancers get, so I've been very lucky. My parents, from a young age, were pretty accepting of the fact that I wanted to do this.
My support system my whole life has been my family, and not just my immediate family, but my whole family. From when I was very little, I had grandparents, great aunts, everyone coming in to support me and drive me to auditions and help pay for point shoes and all of that, because it takes a village to support a dancer, and you can, if you don't have that village, people make it on their own, but I don't know how, because I received a lot of support and it was hard enough with a lot of support.
I find that people are quite interested when they find out that you're a ballet dancer. There's always the odd person or two that says, well, but what's your real job? But people are pretty accepting of the fact that that's what we do.
Ballet and dance is a creative art form, and it helps tell a story. And when you miss that component, it no longer becomes an art. And I feel like you have to give dancers space in order to find their creativity, to be able to express themselves and to become that character. And I was very fortunate that at a young age, I was in an environment that, yes, we were given really good technique, but also the space and the trust to choose our characterization, to become those characters and to bring them to life on stage.
I chose to go the ballet route because other forms of dance I found to be a lot more subjective. And personally, for me, I liked the idea in ballet that there's kind of a right and a wrong way to do things.
To be honest, thinking about the purpose of dance is always something I've struggled to answer, or dance on stage anyway, because for me, I really got into it for selfish reasons. Because I wanted to dance, and it was just something I knew I wanted to do and I couldn't stop doing. I've always had a sense of how special it is when the audience is there and is seeing you perform, and how they light up and how it takes them out of the life that they're experiencing, and they're able to escape and experience something new. But at the same time, it is hard not to just be very inwardly focused on why you're dancing and why you're on stage right now. I'm sure I wrote excellent papers in college on the point of theatrical dance. Just like any art, it just allows people to look at something that can change their perspective, help them escape if they need to escape, or help them feel things they want to feel even more.
As a professional dancer, I'd say us being on stage inspires the audience members. It's also just entertaining to watch, and hopefully, at least I hope, the audience gains respect for what we do every day, and they recognize that what we do isn't easy. There's also, when you're performing on stage, there's that aspect of artistry, and I hope that the audience also takes that away as well, because part of putting artistry into your dancing, in certain cases, it'll make the dancing appear easier than it is. So it's a double-edged sword, I guess, because you want them to appreciate what you're doing and how hard it is, but also you can't make it look that difficult.
Professional ballet contracts are very few and far between. Even, major companies, those contracts do not come around very often. And the same can be said about really any size company, mid to small. I'm so thankful that my professors believed in me and worked with me, and were able to help find positions available, and that I could could do.
I think being a professional dancer for me is really just the culmination of everything I wanted to do when I was younger, and also everything I want to do moving forward. I have a hard time with words sometimes, and so to have a job in which I can express myself through movement and just kind of work on that and work towards achieving new physical goals has been really, really wonderful. And they say, you know, if you like what you do, you don't work a day, right? So I think it's really special to have a job where I feel like I'm not working, I'm just going in and getting to have fun.
This will be my first season as a professional. As opposed to being a student and going from the jump from like a student to being a professional dancer, there's a lot more artistry I can put into my work. And now that it becomes your job, you kind of view it differently and you kind of take care of yourself differently.
I think part of the beauty of having your job be live art is the fact that every day is very unpredictable, so you never know when you are going to wake up with a horrible headache that day, or an injury pops up, or the orchestra plays your music way too fast or way too slow, or really anything can happen. My injuries, I now know, were having os trigonum extra bones in both of my ankles. I had, at the beginning of last season, I started getting random popping in my ankle. It turned into, over time, random locking to where I couldn't point my feet sometimes. And I even did have one instance during a school show where it locked up so bad that I had to just improvise and run around the stage and act scary. Then I took off after Nutcracker to get the surgery on my ankle. And then I found out it was in the other ankle. So I got the surgery in that ankle as well, and here we are.
My perspective of being a professional dancer has changed. This will be my 9th year under contract as a professional dancer. And when you first start, everything is just rose-colored glasses. You're just so thrilled to be able to finally get paid to do what you love and that you have sacrificed so much for, that you're willing to kind of look the other way on certain things, you know, like the low pay and the physical. I mean, going into it, it's a very physically demanding job, but having to work multiple jobs and that kind of thing, you just are so excited to finally be considered a professional that some of the other grunt work is kind of pushed under the rug. As I've gone through my professional career, I have, become more confident in myself and have learned to really trust myself as a person and as an artist. And I haven't really fully understood that or grasped that until the past couple of years as I've matured. That when you're younger, you're so eager, you're so hungry, you're so physically capable of doing everything that you don't fully realize the internal work that has to happen.
Being a professional dancer has affected my day-to-day life in the way that I take care of myself and the way that I structure my schedule. My body is my asset in this career, and so I have to be really careful with how I treat it. So that's making sure I get enough rest and making sure I'm eating well, and we go to the gym, and you have to be able to fit those kinds of things into your day, along with all the other things that come with work, right? We still have to answer emails, and we still have to kind of have the administrative side of it. So it's definitely been a journey learning how to do that, because it's now my job, so I have to do it. It's not just an option anymore.
As I've gotten older, and actually my injuries were really what kind of spurred this too, is like, you have to take good care of yourself. And that means spiritually, physically, emotionally, socially. And a lot of that is outside work that you have to do and put into, which, you know, then dictates your social life, which then dictates your personal life, which then dictates your work life. So everything that you have to do to sustain to be a professional dancer influences everything else that you do.
I think what keeps me grounded is trying to remind myself that I am a person before I'm a dancer. So when things are going wrong for me in the day as far as dance goes, trying to focus on how I'm being as a person. And so when you may have a really horrible day of rehearsal and your dancing is not going how you would like, but maybe you had a really nice interaction with your coworker that day, or somebody said something really sweet and meaningful, and trying to focus on those things instead of just how did I dance that day.
As a dancer, I'd say within the professional dance world, I'd like to see more diversity among dancers. There's not a lot of racial diversity within dance. I think it's important because as an art form, having people with different backgrounds just makes it all the more enjoyable to watch.
I think if I could change one thing in the dance world is that obviously it's important to be strong and athletic and capable of doing the job that you're meant to do. But I think that it would behoove the dance world to focus more on strength and health than on appearance.
Ballet in particular is very hierarchical, it's very steeped in tradition, and it's very focused on aesthetics. If you do not match certain aesthetics, certain people in the dance community value your work less. The dance world has come a long way in terms of being accepting of body types, but we have a long way to go.
So one of my favorite things is when a prima ballerina falls on stage in a very obvious way. I think it reminds people how impressive it is that they're not just doing that the whole time, and there's this really amazing energy that always comes from the audience every time, where they just cheer them on after that like you've never heard before. And it's so cool to watch because I think it's just for everyone, it's just a reminder that the fact that people are imperfect makes it a lot more impressive when they are appearing perfect or close to perfect for so long.
When I perform, I go into a different space. I no longer think so much about the steps, but I think about the meaning behind the steps, or if I'm doing a character role, what that character is experiencing in that place and time. If it's more of a contemporary piece, I'm thinking about the motivation behind each movement. And it varies from performance to performance. I mean, we're all human. Sometimes I'm more in it than not, but I try really hard to just let everything else kind of disappear and just make the stage my current world and to bring that world to life.
The purpose of theatrical dance is to tell stories, right? And to connect with your audience. And one of the reasons I find it so important for people to be able to access that and to care about it is because there's something for everybody.
I think anybody can go and take an open ballet class at a local studio and have so much fun with it. You don't have to dance professionally to enjoy dancing ballet.
It's different from just watching something on a television. Being in the audience, you kind of feel a connection to what's happening on stage.
I think so many times that we take dance so seriously that we miss the joy and the beauty and the connectivity that dance just naturally brings to the table.
So you have not only the 3 or 4-year-old in the audience who's seeing that and thinking, that's what I'm going to do with the rest of my life, but you have the adults who then are seeing the story and perhaps touched in some way. And they might not know why, but they are. And theatrical dance really has the opportunity with that to connect communities and and tell the stories of communities, right?
I love that ballet brings people together, and when I am with my coworkers and people that I enjoy spending time with and dancing with, it just brings so much joy and life and happiness.
And so it's really important that we're able to continue doing what we do and that people care about it and come see it.